It's just after 1 PM on a Thursday in Toronto. The underground lot at 2265 Jane Street is dim and half empty. It's silent except for the low hum of traffic from above. On security footage, a young woman walks towards a stairwell. She has her headphones in. She doesn't see the man fast approaching from behind. The two argue. Her hands go up in defense. He unzips a backpack and pulls out something horrifying. She tries to run. He blocks her. She pleads. But it would make no difference. When police arrive just minutes later, they discovered the woman, and the man is already gone. By the way, this is Dark Case, and you can call me Jack. I bring you true crime documentaries and other things that you may later regret knowing. Please do join the amazingly supportive Dark Case family by hitting subscribe now and making sure that you have all notifications turned on. The Dark Case newsletter is free and it takes just 5 seconds to join, and it means that you'll never miss a new episode ever again. I'm going to launch a newsletter when I hit 500 members, and we're nearly at 400 now, so thank you, and we're nearly there. And now it's time for my silly little question. Although today it's a pretty important one. Are you on Team Tea or Team Coffee? Let me know down in the comments. And I do read every single response, but right now making 4 videos a week, I'm kind of struggling to reply to that many. All Patreon and channel membership support does go a really long way, and I can't thank you all enough, but thank you. But now, on with the video. August the 15th, 2022. It's the middle of a muggy afternoon in Toronto. Outside a small apartment building on Finch Avenue, 23-year-old Daniella Mallia stands under a tree, visibly shaken. 2 uniformed officers, Constable Sang-Yu Lee and Anton Alfonso, approach her. Their body cameras are rolling. I actually wrote a breakdown of this body cam footage, but honestly nothing will do it justice other than just watching it. I really do want to know what you think of the cops' behaviour here, and the clip is only a couple of minutes and it's definitely worth watching to the end.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll give him a call. I think he lives in Brampton or something, side of town, right? We'll give him a call, try to talk and get his side of the story too.
Yeah.
And also, you told him to stop, please stop, right? Which is the right thing to do. We read it, right? At the same time, you should stop talking to him too.
Yeah.
Even though you don't have to warn him.
So, yeah, I know.
Stop, I know.
Gotta cut it clean.
You just cut it.
I tried so many times.
Well, I know you tried so many times.
Yes. And it's so hard.
It is. So we'll make a report, right? We'll make a report. Everything's be recorded, our body weight camera and everything. We'll make a report here. Then we'll talk with, that's it, Dylan. What's his, how do you say? Dylon? Okay. And we'll talk to him too. Stop. Move on with his life.
Okay, we're gonna get a statement from you.
I'm trying.
Okay. Alright. So we'll make a note in our police database, right? That we'll keep it track of this, right?
Yeah.
He knows that you live here?
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of... Do you live with anyone else?
Yeah,
Who do you
I
live with?
do. I live with someone and his mother.
There?
A guy and his mom. I literally rent a room.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you live with a guy and his mom. Okay. Are they aware of this?
I just told her, yeah.
Okay.
She is.
Okay. And you have a lock your door, okay? If he ever shows up here, lock your door, call 911.
I already told him don't ever show up because he knows it's going to happen. Like,
No,
you guys are already here.
just hear me out. I'm telling you, if he shows up, knocking on your door, doors always remain locked, call 911 and we'll come here immediately.
Okay.
Okay? So that's the safety plan, okay? If he shows up at your work, it's a good thing that you've already told your manager about it, so they're aware of it. What do you do for work, if you don't mind me asking?
I work at Pet Value.
You work at Pet Value, okay. So if he
Nothing
shows
wrong
up
with that.
I know, it's just funny at this moment. Like,
And where's that Pet Value? They have a lot of locations.
this was yesterday when I was at work.
Okay.
Oh, you're still alive, blah, blah, blah.
And your manager knows about it as well. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's,
and the
that's,
owner as well.
so that's a good thing as well, that the employees and the manager and everyone knows,
Yes.
so they can keep you safe there. And if he does show up there, again, same thing, call 911.
They already know.
Okay.
They're ready. They'll lock the
Okay.
door and call 9.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's good.
perfect.
That's good.
So we need to also do a statement with you to get this statement. Obviously, there's going to be charges laid here, okay? But at the end of the day, also, it's a he said, she said, right? Because he's talking to you, giving you threats, and you're like instigating him back on, right? It would be different if he was giving it to you and you just cut it and called us straight. Unfortunately, which this is the circumstance that we're in right now, okay? Are you okay with us doing a statement?
Just think about it, and do you have a driver license?
No, I have a whole car.
That's not okay. Just think about it. Let me talk with my partner for a second, okay?
So, just to recap, Daniella had split up with her partner, a man named Dylon Dowman. He had sent her messages saying, "You're still breathing 'cause I say so," and "Ain't no coming back from death, you're done." And later that same day, Daniella sent the screenshots of Dylon's threats to the police officers. Officer Lee's response was emailing both Daniella and Dylon, telling both of them to stop contacting each other. However, no charges are filed, no follow-up is scheduled, and no supervisor is alerted of the situation. And nobody, not one single person, flags this situation as a case of intimate partner violence. Now, August the 16th, Daniella had made contact with the police. She had shared the evidence with them, and the messages, one after the other, made it clear that Dylon wasn't just angry, he was fixated on Daniella. And frustratingly, what Daniella didn't know at that point was that Dylon Dowman was already subject to a firearms prohibition. That means that any credible threat, especially from someone legally barred from owning a weapon, should have been grounds for immediate action by the police. Instead, the officers interpret the evidence they were sent as mutual harassment. Officer Lee emails Daniella again, and he warns her to stop contacting Dowman or risk being arrested herself. In that same email, he tells her, "This is a written caution, move on with your life." Daniella doesn't respond. However, Dylon Dowman does. Dylon sent his own email to the police, and in it he claimed that Daniella had admitted to lying to the police because at the time she was high. He even attached screenshots of messages hoping to flip the script and make himself look completely innocent. Officer Lee's reaction was to tell Dylon Dowman to block Daniella's number. So there's still no official investigation that's been opened. There's no charges. There's no referral to an intimate partner violence unit. No one even flags the case in the system. However, by law, officers in Ontario are required to press charges when there's reasonable evidence of intimate partner violence. And this, messages threatening death, a firearm prohibition, a visibly frightened woman, this should have easily met that standard. However, the whole thing is just treated like a lover's spat, like a miscommunication or a misunderstanding. Police tried to make out that they were both as bad as each other, and as the second day dawns, Daniella is still waiting for peace and waiting for help. On August the 17th, there's no record of direct contact between Daniella and the officers on that day, but behind the scenes, her fear was growing. She had told the officers that she didn't feel safe staying in her own apartment, and now it's believed that she was actively avoiding being at home. Her colleagues at Pet Value would later say that she was more tense than usual on that day, that she was behaving in a distracted manner. They didn't know that Dylon Dowman had already started watching her movements. It's believed that sometime on August the 17th, Dylon Dowman began planning his attack. Surveillance would later show him lying in wait near to Daniella's building the next morning. Court documents revealed that he rented a room in a house not far from Daniella's apartment, but by that point, he was already coordinating his escape route. He wanted to do something terrible, and then he wanted to get away. So despite the officer's assurances that Dylon had been warned, he was still obviously undeterred. He'd been given a 3-minute phone call, and that was it. There was no formal warning letter, there was no in-person visit, and there was no risk assessment of the wider situation. Even after officers Lee and Alfonso had received written proof of threats, and even after Daniella told them that she was afraid that he might end her life, there was no protective actions taken. On the morning of August the 18th, Dylon Dowman left the home that he'd been renting. He calls an Uber. He was carrying a backpack, and inside that backpack was a hidden firearm. That court-ordered firearms ban was not going to stop him today. The Uber driver drops him off near 2265 Jane Street, just north of Highway 401, and there, Dylon Dowman waits. He carried on waiting patiently for 90 minutes. He stood just out of view of CCTV, watching the courtyard outside the apartment complex. He was just waiting for Daniella to appear. She wasn't at home at that time because she was actively trying to stay away. But when it's your home, you can't do that forever. Eventually, she came walking along the path. It was just past 1 p.m. She was wearing headphones, and perhaps she was listening to music. Her co-workers say that she had a playlist that she loved, one that they still play in store for Daniella. Daniella didn't see her ex, not until it was too late. Dylon moved fast. He runs up behind Daniella and grabs her tight. There's no time to scream. He dragged her into the building's underground parking garage, and from there, the camera catches almost everything. The surveillance footage is silent, but you don't need sound to feel what's happening. In the dim underground light, Daniella and Dowman argue. She is pleading, trying to get past him, but he blocks her path. He pulls the backpack off his shoulder and then unzips it. He reaches inside and pulls out the firearm. Daniella tries to escape again, but there's nowhere to go. He raised up the weapon, and 6 loud bangs crack out into existence. Daniella falls, and she doesn't move again. According to the coroner, her end was likely almost instant. Dylon stands over her for a moment, and then calmly steps over her body, zips up his bag, and walks out of frame. Security footage shows him just walking down the street. There's no rush, no panic. He boards a TTC bus and rides it to a nearby shopping mall, where he disappears into the crowds for the rest of the afternoon. Later, a fellow resident of the complex named George Lakatosh walks into the parking garage. He sees a green bag on the floor, follows the line of sight, and then he sees Daniella lying still. I never saw her move, he later testified in court. Daniella's time on this earth officially came to an end on the scene. When the trial began in February of 2025, Crown Attorney Maureen Pecknold addressed the jury with a chilling opening. "This is not a complicated case," she said, and over the course of the trial, jurors were shown hours of footage and surveillance. But none of it hit harder than the officer's own body cam from August the 15th, the day that Daniella begged for help. The jury watched Daniella cry just as we did, as she tried to explain why she feared Dylon Dowman so greatly. They saw her show the messages. "You're still breathing because I say so. You're done." And they saw the officers push back, accusing her of instigating, calling the whole thing he said, she said. Pecknold told jurors that Daniella gave police everything that they needed: motive, digital evidence, and context. She told them she didn't feel safe, Pecknold said. She gave them the playbook. They did nothing. And 3 days later, Dylon Dowman followed through with his promises. He did exactly what he said he would. And now that man was facing first-degree murder charges. Inside the courtroom, Daniella's younger sister Tashorna stood to speak. "She loved you when she shouldn't have," she said, "but you were lucky to receive it." Her voice broke as she added, "I turned 25 this year, older than my role model. What made me better than her?" Dylon Dowman declined to speak in court. However, Daniella's father took his chance to say what he wanted. Wearing a shirt with his daughter's face on it, he shouted across the courtroom, "You get what you deserve. You should get 50 on top of it." In February of 2025, the jury found Dylon Dowman guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison, with no chance of parole for 25 years. He showed no emotion as the verdict was read.
Toronto's Police Chief Myron Demke has met with Mallia's family, issuing a statement that reads in part, "I am concerned about the alleged misconduct in this case and want to reassure the public that officers respond to intimate partner violence calls on a daily basis, and they do so with compassion and professionalism. Those who fail to follow procedure or to meet our clear professional standards will be held to account." Police confirm Alfonso's partner, Constable Sang-Yub Lee, is also facing misconduct charges, but hasn't appeared before the tribunal yet.
Officer Sang-Yub Lee later pled guilty to misconduct, and he was demoted for 1 year. Constable Anson Alfonso's charges remain pending, and Daniella, kind, joyful, and just 23, was laid to rest by those who loved her most. This could and should have been avoided. Be careful out there, and I'll see you soon.